most obvious thing Emmanuel Macron could do right now to calm these protests would be to scrap these hikes in petrol prices. But as we all know, he's based his whole presidency on reforming France and not backing down as his predecessors have. What then are his options? What can he do at this stage?
Macron can't get away any longer with what he's done until now, pressing on with his reform agenda regardless of opposition. He has to find a way of addressing the grievances at the heart of this crisis. The danger is that these have already moved way beyond the single issue of the fuel tax, but he needs to start there, I think, by calling a halt to its implementation for now. He might also look for something else he can do to show empathy with the many voices crying how difficult they find it to make ends meet, whether that's through the minimum wage, the basic pension, VAT, or some other means. Macron is paying the price now for neglecting the social dimension while concentrating his first 18 months on economically liberalising reforms. That part, the economic reforms, has been a success. The other, so far, a gaping failure.
And as you pointed out there, this is about much more, isn't it, than just petrol prices. Macron does have an abysmal approval rating, currently lower than François Hollande at the same time during his presidency. And he can't seem to shake off this tag that he's a president of the rich. At what point did it all start going so badly wrong? Because he came in really overturning the political system and he had so much hope put upon him.
Macron came to office with the original sin, you might say, of having been a merchant banker before joining François Hollande's presidential circle as an economic advisor, then minister, and without ever having run for election at any level. This made him especially vulnerable to being labelled a president of the rich, remote from the French people, an image that was cemented by early labour market and tax reforms, accused of favouring business and the well-off at the expense of the poorer in society. The fuel tax that has sparked the current crisis, on top of other tax hikes, rising energy costs, falling purchasing power, is widely viewed as another punitive measure against many who are already struggling to make ends meet. Then there's the Macron style, high-handed, lofty, arrogant for many. Add to that some ill-judged comments that he's made, suggesting a contempt for the concerns of ordinary people, and the recipe for a revolt was in place.
And people here are saying that these protests are like no other that have been seen in France in recent years. For one thing, this revolt has no leader. Is France simply succumbing to the populist unrest that is engulfing the rest of Europe?
The unique feature of the Yellow Vests is that they're a grassroots movement with no central leadership, loosely organised through social media. This lack of any centralised structure means there's no one to negotiate with and makes reaching a solution to the crisis so much harder. And here's where the weakness in Macron's young governing party is exposed. It has a majority in the National Assembly, but has no elected presence in the regions, the departments, or the communes that make up the political fabric of France. So there's no one out there in the provinces to defend the decisions taken in Paris, leading easily to an us and them dichotomy, a fractured France between governing elites and the people. And this plays, as you rightly suggest, straight to the populists on right and left, which is why Marine Le Pen and Jean-Luc Mélenchon have been making such capital out of the crisis. The fractures opened up by this crisis are a gift for populists on either side.
Jim Shields, thank you very much indeed.